Hello everyone, welcome back. It's finally here, the season 2 finale of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, and we've got a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So episode 12 is titled Picture Perfect. And as previously stated, we're finishing off the last panels of chapter 56. As they climbed the tower looking for the exit, I felt like Ko and Nene, they weren't depicted as being close friends compared to the way that they're depicted in the manga. Ko is extending his hand to her because, well, she's struggling with the stairs. She's got those stubby little legs of hers. So it's shown that to me in the manga they look like they're closer friends. As she mentions to Ko that she does like this world, the images do change from manga to anime, as in the manga we do get a flashback of a Hanako with his telescope, versus the anime we just get a broom and a carving of a rocket and a planet on a desk. That was a little lazy on their part. In the manga, in order to cheer her up though, Ko is seen hopping over to her, which ends up startling her a bit, and that entire scene is just cut from the manga, which I mean isn't too big of a deal, but you know, for me, I'm a sucker for little details like that, and I wish it would have been added. And as Ko is standing next to her and telling her that, well, Hanako doesn't let his guard down around anybody else but you, to me, he just looks like such a little dork compared to his manga form. Like, he just looks a little bit more mature and a little bit more cooler as he tells her this, which kind of shows that at certain points he can say these really cool and mature things at certain times. Versus the anime, he just looks like a total dork. As Nene realizes that Ko is right, we're actually shown a flashback of them holding hands when their pact is actually made. Versus the manga, we're shown the pinky promise they made when Hanako promises to tell her everything one day. As the moon is revealed, we lose a little bit of a panel, and like I said, I'm a stickler for small details. We lose Nene's baffled question of why is the exit all the way up there? And to me, I feel like in the manga, the moon just looks a little bit more cooler than it does in the anime, but that's just me. And so we finish up chapter 56, leading us into chapters 57 and 58, finishing up the last of this arc. This entire part of the whole revealing it's Hanako and everybody having this small little reunion, I felt like it was just not very well done in a sense. I felt like Ko wasn't very well represented as a fighter during this entire scene. Yes, he's showing off his abilities as an exorcist, but I feel like all of this was just better highlighted in the manga than it was in the anime. He didn't really look like he was a very good fighter at all. He had his weapon immediately destroyed. He couldn't even land a single punch on Hanako. And I just felt like he was totally useless. Now, as we compare the entire fight scene to the manga, we can definitely see how much more power it looks like Ko has. And we can definitely see him doing much more damage and getting some punches in as he's fighting with Hanako. He actually manages to hit Hanako's knife, and he actually looks like he can actually grab a hold of him. So it looks like he's actually doing some more damage here and is actually a little bit more of a capable fighter than he is being shown in the anime. So it's just like they just totally made him do nothing. And as these two crawl away from the danger, you know me, I'm a stickler for details. He picks up her little gremlin form, versus the manga, Mitsuba actually picks up her normal regular form. So yeah, I just like the little things. As we shift the focus back to Ko and Hanako, we can see that Ko really doesn't even look like he got into a fight. He just looks like he's extremely tired. And Hanako himself just looks like his uniform is dirty. And if we look at the manga panel, we can see that Ko definitely took a really good beating. He is tired and he looks hurt. And Hanako himself looks like he took a couple of punches, and of course his uniform is dirty. And I don't know why the anime couldn't have given us that. It definitely shows that they had a really big fight. As Nene reveals herself, Hanako's shock is somewhat diminished a little bit, as in the manga there is a little star that is by his eyes that ends up being erased sort of in the anime. Nene reveals her bicycle car and they go ahead and attempt to fly to the moon on their bicycle cart. Even though Mitsuba is the only one that looks horrified about being on the bike, in the manga everybody looks kind of freaked out about it except for Ko, who kind of scolds all of them for pretty much talking smack about Nene's bike. As Hanako sabotages their escape, Nene ends up tackling him and they fall off of the bike together into the clouds. We can't really see Mitsuba and Ko's horrified look on their faces the way we can in the manga. As Nene takes her frustration out on Hanako, the shove that she gives him in the anime just really didn't feel like a shove. It just looked like she sort of gently pushed him down onto the clouds, and her hands are actually pinned on top of his chest, versus in the manga it definitely looked like it was a really hard shove, and her hands are actually pinning his wrists to the clouds. As she is scolding Hanako and saying, "Do you want me to stay here and never leave?" he tells her no. And I feel like in the manga we lost an important panel, because as he's telling her no, he also tells her, "I don't want to trap you. How could you think that?" Because I feel like that's such an important line as he comes to realize what she is saying and the actions of what he is doing. As Hanako tells her that he wants her to live, we're finally setting up everything that's slowly getting us ready for the next arc. And even though my heart was racing, I would say that my heart was racing not because of the sweet confession, but more because we're finally catching up to the manga, and the manga just gets really, really crazy, and it keeps getting crazier. And so Nene asks the big question if he will end up making her wish come true. And this is such a big deal because it ends up playing a very, very big role in the next upcoming arc. And although there is a little bit of translation error in the anime, she says "pretty please," but literally you can hear it in the anime. She says like it's no good. And even in the manga, she tells him that as well. Like, it's like, I guess you can't. So, I don't know, just translation errors. Anyway, so he shoves Nene off of the cloud, and as she falls onto the bicycle cart, we can see Hakujodai is coming up from behind, and as he slams into the cart, he doesn't really shake up the cart. Everybody's just kind of rattled a little bit in the anime, versus in the manga, he literally tosses everybody inside of the cart before flipping everybody outside of it. So we just get like these small little changes here and there with manga to anime. Hanako says that yes, he will grant Nene's wish of living another 90 years. And again, this is a very big setup for season 3 whenever it's approved, and it's a very huge setup for the next arc. And again, the next arc is long. Like, it is super long. And I guess the next arc could be considered to be split into 2 separate arcs. Anyway, as everybody finally makes it to the exit of the moon, I love the way that it's drawn in the manga. It just looks so much more cooler, the way the paper or painting just kind of seeps into itself and it just ends. I just like the way that looks so much better. Nene realizes that she is finally out of the painting and that she's actually in a boundary. She meets the real Mei, and Mei and her begin to talk, and she asks her how she plans on dealing with her remaining time left. And as Nene tells her, well, she'll be careful to not die. Again, we have a little bit of some panel animations removed, and Mei tells Nene to seek out number 1, which is the clock keepers, and she tells her to seek them out for advice. Even though in the anime we can see all 3 of them, in the manga we only see Akane, which to me I feel makes more sense because Akane is definitely going to be a major character or a major focus point in the manga. He sort of plays a bigger role, so I feel like it would have made more sense to see him in the anime than it would have been to put all 3 of them together. As Mei allows Nene to destroy her Yorishido, Nene calls her world wonderful instead of beautiful. And I guess, it depends on which way you want to look at it, but I think I prefer her calling it beautiful in the manga. And I swear I'm not a manga purist. But anyway, I liked how the anime gave us a small look at Shijima in the hospital as Nene pulls the Yorishido off. I kind of liked that little detail. And so as the world is once again returned to normal, and believe me, we are going to be hearing that a lot in the next upcoming arcs. We see Nene sitting in class talking with Aoi, and we see Hanako isn't there. Ko and everybody else is going to class, and we see Tsukasa appearing before Mei again. And the anime, once more, just sort of diminishes that evil presence that he is supposed to be emitting. The kind that he just gives off in the manga is just so much more darker. Like, he just feels so much more scarier. And so the anime wraps up as Ko and Nene appear in the girls' restroom looking for Hanako, and Nene just sort of has like a revelation that this is her life and this is how she wants to spend her happiness. And although this isn't included in the manga, I actually thought this was really, really cute how we see Shijima sitting in the hospital bed, and we actually get the nurses who are actually really sweet to her. They're actually kind and they're taking care of her. So, of course, the rumors of the nurses being rude to her are complete BS. So, as she's sitting in the hospital, we see her drawing a new picture, and it's actually a sweet little picture of her and Nene eating pancakes. And she shows Mei, and Mei tells her, yes, it's a nice painting, even though it's a drawing. And I thought that was really sweet. That was such a sweet little touch, and I give props to the anime studio for doing that. That was really sweet. However, the chapter didn't end on chapter 58. The chapter sort of kept going after Nene kind of has that revelation that this is her life and she wants to live this happiness. This is when she's supposed to be asking Ko and Hanako about final exams and that she needs their help, which sort of goes into this whole lead up into the next arc. And all of this was cut for multiple reasons because this is going to lead up into the next episode, which sort of has Teru listening in on them, and I felt like this had its own reasons for being cut. And the reason it is cut is because at the end of the anime, we actually get this awesome little setup for season 3. And I thought that this was really awesome because we start getting this little breakdown of all the 7 mysteries, and we actually finally get the introduction to the next mystery, which is number 6, which is the Shinigami, or the Grim Reaper, which is literally the next school mystery, which is the entire reason why the whole panels was cut, because they need to cut it at a certain point, which will then lead up into the whole extra filler episode of final exams, which would be Teru listening in on them, which would then lead into chapter 59, which would then lead into chapter 60, which is then the introduction of number 6. And all I can say is that if season 3 is approved, I just really hope that perhaps a different studio can pick up season 3, or maybe we can just get a whole redo. I mean, no offense to Studio Lerche, or maybe I'm saying it wrong. Apologies if I am. If maybe you can correct me in the comments if I said it wrong. But they just really sort of butchered the anime in they just could have done a much better job if you were paying attention to certain points that I was making during my explanations and comparisons. But I just really hope that if it picks up a season 3 and even a season 4 or 5, we are losing a lot of panels and a lot of atmosphere. And if we get more seasons approved, we're going to be getting a lot of more serious scenes and a lot more serious fight scenes. And if Studio Lerche is going to be the one that animates this, I really hope they get their crud together, because things are going to get a lot more serious. And from what I've been seeing with season 2, they did not do a very good job, and I really don't want to see these serious scenes get turned into a joke, because things end up getting very, very dark, and I don't want to see these dark scenes get turned into a little funny, laughable joke. So either they get their stuff together, or a whole other company picks up this anime and either reanimates it, or it just picks it up and we can just start fresh with season 3, because things are just going to start taking a really dark turn from here on out. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed these videos. If a season 3 is ever approved, I will most definitely be back to make some more videos, and I am definitely going to be sticking around to make some more theory videos about Hanako and other characters of this series, because I am a huge fan of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, and I look forward to talking more with you guys about this show. So hopefully you guys can hit that subscribe button and leave your comments below if there's anything else that you guys would like me to talk about or make comparison videos on. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.